Hello, good day, Earthy Wise Woman here. And today I want to take the time to talk about the Wiccan Rede. Um, where to begin? First, we should begin with, well, what is the Wiccan Rede? That would be a good beginning. And most of you already know it. To quote, is harm ye none, do what I wilt. Now, over the years, this has been debated. This has been thrown side to side, upside down, flippity flip. I have heard, well, harm ye none, do what thou wilt. That means you can just go out and do whatever you want to. I have heard liberals take this and run with it. I've heard conservatives turn it around and make it seem like it's something so, a hippie, hippie jargon, which is just full of crap and everything. Um, because they take it to a point of like a really bad spaghetti western, Oh, what does that mean? That means you just go out and do what you want. All right. So I'm going to try to break this down a little bit more. And I'm going to try to figure out where to start. Because there is so many places I can just hit. So because there was really no beginning here. But I am going to go ahead and start. Now, today I'm going to be using this book, which is Ray Buckland's Complete Book of Witchcraft. Um, Raymond Buckland was probably the first person to introduce Wicca to the United States. Back in the very, very, very early 70s, late 60s. And sadly, he has gone into the Summerland now, but he was definitely one of our fathers of witchcraft. Absolutely. He was a gypsy. He was a writer. Um, but I would definitely say, because he was one of the first, he was very much a traditional witch. He did um, craft his own or create his own tradition in Wicca, but he started off as a Gardnerian witch, which most of us has. He became a Saxon as time goes on. Now today I am going to be referring more or less to the first lesson he taught. Now, what and why is the Wiccan Rede? Okay, what and why? The Wiccan Rede is it is not a hard, fast rule. I want to make that really clear. And many people like to think of it, you must follow the Wiccan Rede. We're not Christians here. We don't must follow anything. The Wiccan Rede is a suggestible way to live. It's suggestible. It is a philosophy that basically is, it just makes life a little easier. All right. First, let's examine the Wiccan Rede. Harm ye none. Now, most people take that as, well, you don't go out and you don't beat up on somebody, you don't hurt them, you don't steal, which basically means you are taking the tenets of the Ten Commandments and you're putting it into harm ye none, which is not a bad thing, because the Ten Commandments, um, aside from the Judeo-Christian aspects of the Ten Commandments, is actually just a good way to live. And I want to point out, because history is true, um, it's just probably an irony, of course, that the Ten Commandments verbatim is also written in the book of Thoth, which was about 6 or 7 thousand years before the Ten Commandments, Egyptian. I'm just putting it out there. Take that information as you want to. The point is, it's just good common sense living, the Ten Commandments. Okay. So many people who are practitioners of Wicca and Hoodoo, Voodoo, generally have a background in the Christian faith. So, that being said, when they read Harm Ye None, we tend to put the Ten Commandments in there, which is, like I said, I do it. It's not a bad thing. It's a thing. If you're Buddhist, you'll probably put the tendencies of Buddhism in there. Hinduism, the same. Because the Karma Agita and Hinduism has so many books, that we would put that in there. But like I said, that particular rule pattern crosses many traditions, many faiths, many religions, because it's just common sense living. Now, onward. Harm ye none, do what thou wilt. Okay, let's continue on the harm ye none. Back in the early days, we're talking the 70s of Wicca, most Wiccans, most witches were anti-abortion back in those days. Now, I'm not going to tell you my personal belief right now. I will, as this video progresses, I have no doubt. But it said harm ye none. So they viewed an abortion as harmful. Now, they felt it was harmful to the fetus. And, you had no right to take a life because that is causing harm. Okay. Many of them believed that suicide was wrong because it is harming yourself. We, at that time, we're talking 1972, didn't realize the intensity of what mental illness was. Later on, many of us did see the light of day and such. But as you can see, that part, harm ye none, is a pretty open concept, because harm is how you yourself view it. What one man thinks is harmful, another one may not consider harmful at all. I mean, back in the day, some people viewed LSD as very harmful, whereas other people viewed LSD as being mind expanding, you know. And I myself viewed it as being a little of both. If your mind is fucked up, you shouldn't take LSD because, yeah, you'll have a seriously interesting trip. Okay, that's my take on it. I'll leave that alone. But the Rede also came about because of the Council of Witches. Back in 1971, 13 witches came together and wrote out what they viewed as a good conception of how a person should live as a practitioner of the craft and as a good human being. And they were with the Council of Witches. Now, I believe it's because they did not want witchcraft at that time, Wicca, to become, I guess the word would be institutionalized or organized, become organized religion like Christianity. So intentionally, after they made these 13 uh, suggestible ideas of how to live, they disbanded so that any form of organized religion would also go with them, and it did. But the reason they did put down a little bit of a foundation was because many witches were seeking it. They wanted a foundation on how to build upon their belief, their covens, what is a coven, all of these things. And we didn't have it then. We didn't have that structure. So books like this, Buckland, we used to call it the Big Blue Book, Uncle Bucky's Big Blue Book, came along, and it did give us a great deal of structure, including the structure of the Wiccan Rede and why it is important. Okay, so harm ye none. I actually just hit up on anti-abortion. Who knew? Harm ye none. How vast can this go? Don't eat junk food. I know some traditions felt that it was harmful to eat junk food because it harms the body, so you're harming yourself. Thus, you shouldn't eat junk food. So you can see this can get very wide. What do I suggest for you when it comes to the harm ye none? Follow your own guidance. Because I always came to the conclusion of if I feel it's harmful, then that's something I just won't do. And that's my interpretation of harm ye none. If I feel that it's counterproductive to my survival or it's counterproductive to someone else's survival, I just don't do it. All right? Now, the big one. Do what thou wilt. Harm ye none. Do what thou wilt. Do I believe that that means do whatever you want to? It can mean that. But remember, uh, the part two of that causes you to have to refer back to the part one. So if you're going to do your thing, that before you do your thing, you got to ask yourself, is this harmful to me? Is this harmful to someone else? Is this counterproductive? Why am I doing this? You need to ask yourself because we have entered into an age of severe indulgence and in a moment of entitlement. And the reason I say indulgence is, well, girl, it just felt good, so I did it. That's indulgence. Now, this is where that harmful stuff came in. Harmful. I just had sex with him because, girl, it felt good. Why is that harmful? Did you use a condom? Oops, you got an STD. So therefore, you did what you wanted to do, but because you didn't use good judgment, you harmed yourself. So judgment calls are important. When I initially got into really into my roots, so many people were into self-indulgence, but that was on the Wicca side. I gotta tell you, on the voodoo side, no, not so much. Because in voodoo, we always believed the point. And what does the point mean? Even though you're pointing your finger at someone else, there's three fingers pointing right back at you. So I like to say that voodoo practitioners never really followed the Wiccan Rede, and yet in some ways, yes, we did, but we also believed in the concept of live and let live. And we also believed in balance. So this is what I mean by that. If I am on a job or whatever, and I have someone who is really making my life hard, I mean, really just up in my face, up in my stuff, really driving me absolutely bonkers. First of all, I'm going to tell him, hey, kid, ease up. You're driving me a little crazy. Please, leave me alone. I'm going to verbally tell him. I'm going to keep it in the mundane first and tell him, hey, you're being a real asshole. And if I have to use those terms, yes, I will. But then comes the concept that they look at me, tell me to kick rocks. Now, them telling me to kick rocks or, you know, screw off or fuck you or I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do and you ain't going to tell me nothing, girl. Okay. At that point, I have told them, hey, I didn't like this. Please stop. And then at that point, that is when I feel no sense of any karma coming back at me if I drop the hammer down. Now, why do I say that? And how does that even cover and me staying in the Wiccan Rede if I call it that? Here's why. Harm ye none, do what thou wilt. Okay, hold on. I am so sorry I had to pause the video. The gardener arrived and my dogs were going a little nutty. Where did I leave off? First of all, I think that maybe we better break down what the word read means. And that's read spelled R-E-D. R-E-D-E. What read means is a bit of advice, a suggestion. And it's archaic, it's old school. I mean, the only time I've ever heard the word read is when people are using the term the Wiccan Rede. So, as I was saying earlier, the concept of the Judeo-Christian Ten Commandments can come into play. But as I was also saying, now, you got to warm up to figure out where you were on that track. Many voodoo practitioners believe more in the concept of live and let live. So what I mean by that is this. If you have someone, as I've said earlier, giving you trouble, giving you a hard time, you verbally tell them, hey, knock it off, stop it, I don't like that. Don't do this anymore. And they continue to do it. In some cases, not doing something to this person can be harmful to you. I mean, if you have someone who is hitting you or causing you harm, destroying your property, harming your family, not doing something, not taking matters into your own hands can be harmful to you and those around you and your family. Tea. Very good. Anyway, so in cases like that, that would be harmful not to do something. So, I mean, because I've had people who have gone to too much of an extreme where they will literally allow people to walk all over them so they don't harm them. But then I look at that, well, isn't that kind of harmful to you? I mean, where's the balance? Because if someone is causing you discord and disharmony, there is no balance in your life. In which case, taking matters into your own hands and being the agent of karma is kind of understandable. All right. Many years ago, I had a case where someone was literally doing me harm, and I turned the other cheek. Finally, I said something. Hey, I don't like this. Please stop it. And it was someone at my workplace, and because of him being a little bit what's the word? Curious, nosy. He discovered that I was a practitioner, and this particular person was a devout Christian to the point where he would intentionally tell you about his faith, and more like, now that I've told you, you must come to my church. You must come to my church. And it was like, oh my God. And I got annoyed. And one day I wore a t-shirt to work because at that time I did wear a uniform. But I changed out. But not before he saw the t-shirt, which I didn't care about. And it said, Jesus, protect me from your followers. Because he was annoying. And he took offense to that. And I'm like, I have a right, I said, to wear whatever I want to. I'm not insulting you. What I'm saying is, straight up, you're annoying. You know, if I decide that I want to come to your church, I will. And, he asked me, what is your faith and what is your, I said, it is what it is. I'm a good person. I ain't gonna hurt nobody. And at that time, not so much now, but I was wearing a pinnacle. He saw the pinnacle. Oh my God, that is of the devil. And I'm like, no, it's not. Oh yes, it is. Anyway, back and forth. Um, he made a point of me losing that position. He was active in me losing my position. And honestly, I didn't really mind. I ended up getting something like 18 months of unemployment because I worked through an agency. The agency was going through some turmoil and they hadn't gotten to my paperwork yet. So I fell through the cracks and I got 18 months of unemployment. Great. And the post or the company that I was working at ended up losing so much money. And in fact, he ended up getting fired, mainly because he was making demands that were um, out of the job description of the agency that I worked for. So they fired him. Now, did I do anything? Did I harm him? Well, maybe the t-shirt was insulting, but it wasn't harmful. However, I did speak up. I did say something. Oh, I forgot to mention the main thing I was trying to get at. I also cast a spell. Um, Mainly that he would, try to keep things on an even playing ground. That he would feel what I felt when he was doing, harassing me. That he would feel the energy of harassment and discontent and disharmony at his workplace. In result, he lost his job. Now, could I have let that go? I could have. But why didn't I let that go? Because my daughter, Moon Dawn, was still working there and she was feeling the discontent and he didn't want to get rid of both of us, so he just got rid of me. But he was still harassing everyone around her and leaving her pretty much alone, but everyone around her was disharmony, discontentment, and these were my friends. And I was hearing about it every night. So I said, fine, we can do something about this. Because it really rubbed my hide that he could get away with doing something like that. So I did something about it. What am I telling you? Examine before you cast down. I would definitely ask yourself, well, wait a minute, what did I have to do with this? Or did I do something to cause this? Or, what's going on here? Maybe if I just sit down and talk to the guy, tell him not to do it. My grandmother used to have a saying about that. My paternal grandmother would say, before you hex, stop, think, consider, and then do what you feel you need to do in order to keep your life in a balanced harmony situation. Notice how I say that. I mean, I know people who, someone threw a rock at them and they want to throw, Mount Everest back at them. That's not the way that works. So don't do that. But again, harm ye none, do what thou wilt. What is your wilt? Okay, that leads us to something else. Now, some of you have heard of the gentleman named Aleister Crowley. He was a great occultist. Um, I would say he was a brilliant, loony guy. He was brilliant, but damn, some of his stuff was way out there. But it works. He is not Wiccan, but we have based Wicca on the works of Aleister Crowley in many cases. Many Wiccans do not want to admit this. However, if honesty was known to truth, Wicca has the DNA of Aleister Crowley all through it. Okay? Seriously. Because Gardner did know Aleister Crowley. Now, I bring up Crowley because his read is, well, let me get it right. Thy will be the whole of the law. My will is the whole of the law. Um, and love is the law, love under will. Okay? So, in other words, my will be done. And that's all there is to it. Ain't no, karma, ain't no harm you none. Screw that shit. My will and my will only. Now, I've met people who are followers of Crowley, and they are, Thelema, and they are very reasonable people. And their attitude is, hey, you don't bother me, I ain't gonna bother you, it's all good. They don't exactly adhere to the law of karma as far as really putting their faith into it, but I have a concept about karma. Whether you believe in it or not, the universe will keep its balance. Whether you believe or not, it don't matter. The universe is going to keep its balance. So, whatever that means is what that means. So, if you decide to be the agent of karma, hey, it is what it is. I don't try to pass judgment on, oh, well, this could come back to you threefold, which is another reason why a lot of people tend to view the Wiccan Rede. If you harm, it'll come back threefold. Well, also, you need to look at the other side of that. If you do good things, it'll come back threefold too. Sometimes taking down a really bad person is a good thing. So what do you call that? Well, you took him down, you killed him, you'll come back threefold. Yeah, but because I took that particular element out of the situation, all these other people are living happy, healthy lives. Because that one harmful person is out of the picture. See my point? This can get real tricky. This is not a black and white situation. Harm you none, do what you will. It's not black and white. It's really based in the concept of gray. And also, remember, the word read means suggestion. It means advice. It doesn't mean the rule. Earthly Wise Woman would suggest to you, live like you want to live. Try to keep it, don't harm anybody. Don't go out of your way to make somebody's life hard. Somebody does something to you, let them know that you didn't appreciate that. And if they're still doing it, do what you need to do to keep harmony and joy in your life. That's my suggestion. So what do I say about the Wiccan Rede? Take it as it came to us. Take it as advice. It's good advice. What does it mean to you? Does not mean it's going to mean the same to me. Does not mean it's going to mean the same to someone else. I mean, harm ye none to some people includes inanimate objects like plants and trees. Personally, I do believe that all things have energy, and therefore I am careful about not harming them. But that's me. I will not impose my will on you because that could be harmful. Okay, until next time, please subscribe to my channel. And again, please visit my store on Etsy. Right now, currently, I am going to be listing this very nice voodoo doll or spirit puppet for $65. There will be a listing up on my video, and I will be doing another video shortly about the use of a voodoo doll or spirit puppet. Now, I've already done a video on that, but this will be another one. Anyway, again, please like or subscribe to my videos, and you guys all have a good day, all right? And don't harm anybody.